I'll jump in. And say a player comp for him, and then let you run with it because I don't have too many player comps. But I'm going to go tall Jason Williams.
That's exactly what I have.
Is it? Yeah.
That's what I have written down too. It is what I have written down too. I said a mix between Gumby and Jason Williams.
Yes, there it is.
Forward white chocolate. That's exactly what I have written down.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, guys, we are going to go ahead and get this started. Welcome to Sports Den, the podcast. This is the three-man weave. So we decided we're going to do a completely basketball podcast this time, and we are going to work on the draft. So we've got our all of us kind of sent in our big boards, and we kind of mixed them all together to.
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
I didn't want to lose Daryl Morey, but an exciting thing about it is the draft is now relevant to us instead of us keeping to trade our draft picks all the time. I'm actually mildly excited about Daryl Morey being gone because the draft is now relevant. We don't have any draft picks this year, but we might actually trade for a draft pick instead of never using draft picks ever. I'm so excited.
Well, that's true. I will say that I'm excited for this. What we did is we got 10 people that we want to talk about, and then we've got 5 honorable mentions. So this is our kind of combined work together. What we have as our top 10 of our big board. This is not a mock draft. This is a big board. So these are the 10 prospects we like the most. We'll do a mock draft later where we'll probably make sure that Sean doesn't get a Be the Timberwolves so that we can. All righty. So without further ado, do you guys both have the list?
I'm pulling it up right
I have
now.
my list.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just use the official list then. So number 1, all of us combined, we have James Wiseman number 1. So
yeah. As the Memphis area local, the fact that he is not a consensus number 1 in this draft class is number 1, the NCAA's fault because they're stupid and wrong.
I would agree with that. The NCAA's fault, absolutely.
And they unjustly suspended that man.
Ridiculous.
There was absolutely no reason to suspend him for that. It was well before Penny Hardaway was associated with the school in any form, and it was just it's just more proof of the NCAA basically being a borderline human trafficking organization than actually anything that's of substantial good for the planet. And the whole thing can just burn for all I care. And I'm not even a Memphis fan. I'm so sick of them treating specifically black athletes this way. Let me get off my soapbox for a second. He's
for
awesome.
Those of you who don't know who James Wiseman is, I'm going to read off that part. He's a 7'1" center from Memphis, obviously. Really good. Played for Penny Hardaway. He in high school kind of fell in love with his jump shot, and so under Penny, with him playing AAU, he played a little bit more of a role. And then when Penny moved to be the coach of Memphis, he went with Memphis, and he played that role a lot better than he did during high school. So Wiseman is my comp I have is like David Robinson light. So obviously he's not going to be David Robinson on offense, but he's still a very good, he can be a shot maker if you need him to. He can easily do catch and shoot. He's going to be a fantastic pick and roll big. He's super athletic, decent passer. He's really going to be good on offense, but defense is where he's going to, I think, make his bread and butter. He's got great instincts, but he's a little foul prone right now. So if he can clean up those stupid fouls, he will be a fantastic defensive player of the year one day.
Here's the thing with Wiseman, and I don't think that Admiral comp is terrible. The difference is David Robinson was 25 as a rookie, and Wiseman will be 19. So let's look at that. Dave, obviously you've got to look at where they go and all sorts of other stuff. I think the only thing is if the Timberwolves feel like Karl Anthony Towns cannot slide over to the 4, they may go somewhere else. That's the only thing with it. Wiseman is, in my opinion, the clear-cut number 1. He has all the tools. His jumper may not be perfect, but it's real serviceable for a 19-year-old athletic big. I mean, it's real serviceable. So I don't know if there's a good player comp for it, because I don't know of an athlete that has been this big that has also been this skilled since coming out as a 19-year-old. I cannot think of another one.
He's a lot like Ayton to me. Very similar to Ayton. I think he's a little bit already better defensively than Ayton was in college. Ayton made substantial leaps. Made just like leaps and bounds on defense this year. Sean, you're the Timberwolves expert. What do you think of him?
I love him. I really, I know our advanced metrics and whatnot are going to say don't go with the Twin Towers, but I would love to. I'd love to just see James Wiseman play with us for like 5 games, and then we can swap picks with whoever got him, just because I would love, I would love to just see it. I am on board with the Twin Towers kind of movement. I think it's serviceable, just like the NBA makes 2 ball handling guards serviceable as well. You just have to have the right coaching for it. You have to have the right strategy for it. But it would be cool. I don't believe that the Timberwolves believe that Towns can play a 4. And if we had a different personnel or a different coaching staff, Flip Saunders tried it way back in the day, started Karl with Gorgie Dang, and
but that's not going to show you anything.
It didn't. So I wish we could go for it, but I know they won't. But yeah, I agree. Wiseman, I think I had him at 2, but I have no problem with him being number 1. I think potential wise, ceiling wise, he has one of the highest ceilings in the draft, if not the highest, for sure.
I'd like to see Minnesota trade this pick. Honestly, I'd like to see them trade down to 3 or so. Don't trade with the Warriors. No, don't do that. Don't.
Warriors a swap with Charlotte, I think, is everybody's dream. We'll see if that happens.
I think trade down to 3 would be awesome. And because I think Wiseman would be great in Charlotte. And then 2, I think the Timberwolves can get a better player for them at 3 and some assets too.
Yeah,
would help
for sure
kickstart their rebuild.
I
think my comp for him, I've decided just now, my comp for him is a quicker Ayton.
Okay. The thing I will say for him being on the Timberwolves is somebody's got to play defense in that lineup. And so I guess it could be him. I don't know. I do think he'll be a defensive player of the year. I don't think he can cover up for both Cat and D'Lo and Culver all at the same time.
Well, who I assume they're going to pick, I don't think helps at all.
That's true. But, you just kind of go in all the way for offense.
But we'll get to him later.
All right. So second on our list, we had everyone combined, was Lamelo Ball, who is a 6'8". I actually have point forward, not point guard. I think he actually is going to play forward in the NBA. And he is from Australia. He played in Australia. He's from America. He's Lonzo Ball's little brother. Probably the most famous player in this draft class. Probably the most famous player in a while, other than maybe Zion was more famous than him, but I don't know. Interesting thing with him is his draft range seems really wide. Like, nobody would be surprised if the Timberwolves take him 1. I think it would also not be surprising if he drops to like 8. So,
I agree. And the rumblings from today is that his interviews are going pretty poorly. And so the teams like the Knicks are looking at like, hey, if he falls, he falls. And that would be a dream for the Knicks. But yeah, it's especially just with the way this whole offseason has played out. It's just tough to rank some of these guys off their play from what has it been like 8 months since the last time he's played professional ball or something like that?
A little longer for him. I think it's actually almost.
Yeah. So, we're going off a body of work that is small. We're going off. I mean, he's young. It's tough. It's a toss up. But I love his playmaking. I think he's the best playmaker in the draft. Obviously he's a great ball handler. I'll jump in and say a player comp for him and then let you run with it, because I don't have too many player comps, but I'm going to go tall Jason Williams.
That's exactly what I have.
Is it? Yeah.
That's what I have written down too. It is what I have written down too. I said a mix between Gumby and Jason Williams.
Yes, there it is.
Forward white chocolate. That's exactly what I have written down.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely. He's got that kind of swagger with everything. He has the poor shooting that Jason Williams had. I will say this: Ball is the most famous non-pro, the most famous non-NBA basketball player on the planet right now.
Yeah.
And he's not even the best player from that Chino Hills team in this draft for me.
Are we sure Stephon Marbury still isn't playing?
Is Stephon Marbury not playing?
I don't know.
Because if I thought he retired. If he didn't retire, probably Stephon.
I believe he did.
Oh, okay.
I believe he did.
But he's not even the best player in this draft out of that Chino Hills team. But we've known Lamelo in public consciousness since he was in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We saw him. Was it almost 100 points, or did he break 100 points in that one game? At Chino, which, by the way, a lot of it was because he cherry picked, and a guy we're going to get to later is a rebounding monster that can throw full court heaves to him while he was cherry picking. And so, and was actually able to guard 2 people at once pretty effectively. And I actually have him as my number 2 player in the whole draft class. But Ball is what we've seen from Lonzo. If Ball even does what Lonzo did, right? If LaMelo is even what Lonzo is, LaMelo's worth a number 1 pick this draft. Like,
I would agree. Yeah.
This is a kind of weak draft. And as much as we want to hate on Lonzo is averaging nearly 10, 8, and 8 in his career and is an elite point guard defender.
I just don't think LaMelo is an elite defender. That's the main point.
I don't think LaMelo that there's my strengths I have for Lonzo is attitude, or for LaMelo is attitude. I think he's got a much better attitude than Lonzo even. I think he's a little bit more assertive than Lonzo has been. I said, obviously playmaking. I said he will take shots. Some people won't take shots. I'd rather teach someone who will take shots how to shoot than try to teach someone who can't shoot and won't shoot how to shoot at Ben Simmons. So, and then I have weaknesses. I have defense and LeVar. I'm sorry, LeVar is a weakness for him. And as long as LeVar is around, there will be questions.
I think we can move on. I feel like we can just beat a dead horse with Lamelo all day. Or I guess make something out of white chocolate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next, we have Anthony Edwards, who is probably my least favorite. I actually have him at 8 on my board. And I had him at 10 earlier. I was convinced to move him back up to 8 because a lot of people have said, that he's got the potential. You've got to move him up. And then I watched his pro day, and man, I think I might move him down to 14. Just his pro day was awful. My problem with him is, yes, he's extremely, extremely, extremely athletic. But he can't dribble, pass, shoot, or play defense. If you can't do any of those, I don't want you on my team. The comp that I had been using was more athletic Dion Waiters. I'm beginning to realize that he probably has less basketball IQ than Dion Waiters. So I am using Diet Andrew Wiggins. That's my comp form is Diet Andrew Wiggins. I also thought about using Tall Malik Monk. So none of these are great comps for him. So that's something to worry about.
He's a tough one because you see the raw talent, and this is why I think the Wiggins comps come in, but you also see the inconsistency in his motor. You see the inconsistency in his effort. You see the potential for him to be a good defender. You see the potential for him to be a solid passer, solid ball handler. The guy can score in droves. So the question is, does he have enough drive? And we all, obviously it's a sore spot for me, but we saw how Andrew Wiggins panned out, and everybody still kind of hopes that he might put it together at some point. And Anthony Edwards leaves me with the same taste in my mouth. But who knows? I don't know. This is a toss up for me. I think I had him at 4, and
the Ringer NBA group had Chris Vernon, and he accidentally said Anthony Bennett instead of Anthony Edwards, and I'm not sure that's totally wrong. They also used the comp of J.R. Smith. I'm not sure that's what you want out of your number 1 pick.
Right.
All right. So I watch Edwards play, and if you just watch a hoops highlights of him, the first comp that comes to my brain, and I went and checked some stats to see how well they line up. The first thing that comes to his brain out of his highlights skill is that looks like Dwayne Wade from college. Out of his highlight package.
On Green, so
what?
Same college coach.
Yeah, and same college coach. It looks like Dwayne Wade from college. I didn't put that together. Thanks, Jordan. But then you watch a whole game of him playing, and I'm like, yeah, no. So
I am the resident Dwayne Wade hater that is like, I'm a professional at this. Dwayne Wade could dribble, pass, and play defense. He couldn't shoot, but he could dribble, pass, and play.
No. I honestly think Edwards can dribble, pass, and play defense. I think he just won't. And
I was going to say, I don't think he does it for a whole game.
There's a difference between can't and won't. And just like I was talking about with Lamelo, I can deal with someone who can't shoot and teach them to shoot. It's a lot harder to teach someone who won't shoot to shoot. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot harder to teach someone who won't dribble, pass, or play defense to do it than someone who can't. So I'm worried. I'm really worried.
It's true. So obviously we are not all super high on Anthony Bennett or Anthony
Anthony Edwards. I still think there's no way he falls past 4.
Yeah, but it seems like Sam Vecini was talking about it on his. I think it was Sam Vecini, I think he was talking about it on his pod that everybody he's talked to has him top 3 on their big board, like all the teams. But it's always like all the teams are like, we kind of hope someone else drafts him. So that's kind of just where it is.
It's probably accurate. I think everyone else wants someone else to take them first, so they don't. It's kind of like when you see someone with a huge injury risk start to fall. Everyone else wants the person above them to take them, so they're not the team that passed him up, but they don't want to be the team that took him either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to number 4, which this is the one that Jonathan was kind of dropping hints for. This is Onyeka Okongwu, and I'm going to be completely honest. If I was the Timberwolves, I might just draft him. He's a perfect fit for the Timberwolves in every way. I don't think you are passing on Wiseman, who is a better player, but the fit is just so good with Okongwu. So that's where I'm at with him. My comp for him is Bam without the passing, which is a huge detriment because the passing is really important with Bam. But he has that same kind of defense where he can guard even wings, and I don't think he'll ever be able to guard point guards like Bam can sometimes switch on to point guards, but he's just a really, really good defender, hustle rebounder. Seems like he's a fantastic attitude guy too. So, he is 6'9". He's a big, so a forward or center, and he's from USC.
Yeah, I think if the Wolves trade down, he's definitely an option. He's also reminiscent of Taj Gibson in the Chicago days. Just that workhorse guy that is willing to get the gritty kind of plays, and I loved when Taj Gibson was on the Wolves, and that is a good fit for us, I think, and there's a lot to like about him. This is a potential all NBA defender right here. There's just he's a good finisher in the post, very efficient, which is great, and for somebody to complement a guy like Karl Towns, especially, like, you want a guy that you can rely on in the post when Karl's in the corner or something like that. So I like it. I like it a lot. Obviously he is still young, but the defensive potential is just incredibly high defensive ceiling. So love him.
First off, this is the largest 6'9", 240, 19-year-old I've ever seen. This man is huge across the shoulders. The body type and and even his defensive swagger really just screams Bam to me. And we all know that Bam didn't show that playmaking in college under Calipari because you just don't. You don't do stuff out of the box under Calipari. And every year someone gets to the league and just shows a whole bunch of stuff that they didn't show under Coach Cal, whether it's Anthony Davis having a really competent jump shot, Karl Towns being able to put the ball between his legs and take someone off the dribble, Bam's passing, Devin Booker's post game. Every year, one of those really high level Coach Cal guys does that. And I'm hoping that when you look back at high school highlights of Okongwu, that playmaking is there.
I don't see that at all in his high school. Especially off rebounds and outlet passing, especially off of it. Bam's passing is not outlet passing. Bam's passing is him creating.
Bam's passing is him putting the ball between his legs. I don't think that's there for him. I don't think you have to have that to have a really good player, because there's a possibility that Okongwu has a better jump shot than Bam. He only took 4 threes all year, but he did shoot 72% from the line. And that's usually a better indicator of your 3-point potential in the pro league than your 3-point percentage in college. And so if Okongwu can show a willingness to shoot, he is going to be the best player in this draft by far, by a massive margin. If he doesn't, well, you know what? No one respects Draymond Green's jump shot, and he's a bigger Draymond on the defensive end. And he's a bigger Draymond on the defensive end, and maybe he can't dribble and shoot, but maybe you can set him up and let in a UCLA style offense, let people cut off him. The thing about Okongwu is he could play either big position, and I'd be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say the same thing for Wiseman.
Yeah, that's right.
His versatility. It's his versatility versus Wiseman's pure athleticism for the size that he is. Those are. I mean, if you consider versatility, I think Okongwu is more valuable to you, probably higher on your big board. But yeah, it's preference almost at that point.
If I were the Wolves, I would go for Okongwu. Just I don't feel like you're dropping too far down your big board, and the fit with Cat is almost too perfect to pass up.
Yeah, if I could convince someone to trade down to 3, if I could convince the Hornets to do that,
number 1. I'd take him number 1. That's how much I like that fit. Now that being said, we can move on. The next one is Isaac Okoro, who is a 6'6" wing from Auburn. And the thing about Okoro is he is a great defender. He's an excellent passer. He is a good scorer, good finisher, but he can't shoot. So the best comp I have for him is Justice Winslow, who Winslow has gotten better at the shooting part, but he was not not a great shooter when he first was in, like, even when he was in Duke, he wasn't a great shooter. I'm thinking that this could actually look even better because, like, really the problem with Winslow is he's not been healthy. I think Okoro, if he can just be healthy, I think he's going to be a fantastic player. And I think that he can learn to shoot and be really good at that. But his passing is really high. His defense is really high. He's always going to have a spot on a team.
I like that. I like that comp. The major strengths in this draft are guys who are good at defense or guys who are good playmakers. What we don't have are these scorching shooters that are really high. You know, there's a couple good shooters that, you know, maybe mid to late lottery, but those guys lack it in a lot of other areas. And so, you know, Okoro is one of those high IQ defensive potential, you know, wings that, you know, he's got the athleticism in that build like Justice, where you're guarding 2 to 4s all the time, you know, and you're comfortable doing that. So that's what I like about it. But yeah, nothing for me is spectacular about Okoro. And I'm sure, you know, as we're going down this list, that's kind of he's solid, but he doesn't stand out for me. So
I like the Winslow comp. I think they played really similar in college, except for the fact that Winslow didn't show that playmaking ability until Spoelstra threw him in at point guard in the NBA. Almost, again, like Bam. Like, Eric Spoelstra pulls these random skills out of some of these people out of nowhere.
Well, Bam had that in
high school. But Winslow, as a Memphis area native who is not really a Grizzlies fan, I just really do like when they have exciting players to watch, because then I get to go see them without driving a long way. And although RIP fans in the stands, but I am really excited to watch Winslow live. And I would be really excited if I was a fan of whoever drafts Okoro, because I don't know, he just has this dog in him of this personality that every question we had about Anthony Edwards, he's the opposite.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's how I feel about Okoro.
All right. So we need to keep on moving. So next is number 6. We have Killian Hayes, 6'5" guard from France. He is super left-hand dominant, but he is a really, really good defender and a fantastic passer. He can see some passes. He can create shots. I have Harden light on mine simply because I think he is so left-hand dominant, he cannot get to the same height that Harden is unless something drastically changes there. And so I really like him. I just worry about him being so left-hand dominant that I don't know if, teams are able to scheme against Harden a little bit. I think a lot of that is coaching more than just Harden, but they're able to scheme against Harden a little bit. So I'm worried about what would happen to Hayes if the same thing happened.
I like him. I do think he looks a little small, just from a look of him. To play any sort of off guard, because he's only he's skinny. He's skinny. 216 at 6'4". He looks pretty skinny. Not as skinny as some other guys, but I don't think he can play any sort of Harden role, because he's not going to bounce off someone like a Harden would. He'll fold if he takes some contact. He is so left-hand dominant, it almost looks like he's a player from the 60s at a time. Just like dribbling with the hand behind their back almost. I worry a little bit about that. But my major concern with most international guys is they play so much less than college guys do that I feel like we don't get as much to watch with them. And Hayes is
how I feel too.
And Hayes is there. I feel like I don't have enough tape, enough to know exactly where. But then you do get flashes. Like, the dude can light it up from 3 when he gets going. And he's played against high level competition and done well. That's a big deal to a lot of GMs. So it's just, I can go either way with Hayes.
I'm about the same. I look at Hayes like if follow me here. If James Harden were D'Angelo Russell,
oh yeah,
like that's about where that's about where I see Hayes. Good playmaking potential. Got a feel for the game. Like you like you said, you see the flashes of it. But there are definitely concerns. I know the Ringer has him as their number 1. Kevin O'Connor's big board, he's number 1, and I don't see that. He's a little bit further down on my list, but
so I'm going to use a comp that I have no doubt that Hayes will be better than, but he worries me in the same way that Jeremy Lin worried me. Sure. As a guy who watched Jeremy Lin, he only drove one direction. And when you only drive one direction, people game plan for it, and it can actually game plan you out.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I will say that one thing in his favor is we have mentioned Harden, Russell, and Jeremy Lin, which should be a lottery pick in this draft regardless. But he's also seems to have better defense than any of the guys that we've mentioned. He really does like to play.
Hard pass on that with Harden. Harden's a forward on defense. So I think, and then Harden, even at Arizona State, was very good defensively. He got really bad habits the first year in Houston and had to iron those out. But Harden's not a bad defender in terms of that. I do think Hayes is a much better ball hawk than Russell or Lynn or Harden. But I think Harden, and then to a certain extent Lynn, with the way they've played. Now, actually, Lynn at Harvard, very, very ball hawkish defensively. And when he went into the league, the Warriors told him he had to quit gambling so much, or they were gonna cut him. And so he quit gambling, and then they still cut him. And so, yeah.
Well, so moving on, we've got another international guy, and I am not going to pronounce this right, but it's Deni Advisha. He's a 6'9" point forward from Israel. And, he's all over the board on this. Some people have even said he's in play for number one. I don't see that. He is not a very good defender. He's tall. He's a good ball handler. He's a decent passer, but he's not like everybody was saying he's the next Luka Doncic. He's not. He makes the right pass, but he's not. He doesn't create those looks out of nowhere. Not like even Hayes does. The main problem with him is he's like Hedo Turkoglu. If Hedo Turkoglu couldn't shoot, that's a problem. If you can't shoot, that's a problem. He's not a very good shooter, and that worries me. If he can learn to shoot, this guy's going to be an all-star. Might only be a one-time all-star, but if he can learn to shoot, he's going to be an all-star. But if he doesn't learn to shoot, I don't know if he gets past his rookie contract. That's where I'm at with him.
Yeah, he's all over the board, like you said. I understand why people have him up so high, and I think his versatility is at play. And we've seen the potentials of guys like Luka Doncic, where you could gamble and you could win big, but you could also gamble. So for me, like, I don't know, he to me, he's Dario Saric. And I, in that, right. But he's in that European, like EuroLeague basketball playmaking mind, should be a better shooter, can handle the ball. We know that sort of thing. Unsure where he's at all the time on defense, sort of deal. That's how I picture him. And so
Denny is getting a Luka Doncic bump.
Yes.
Yes.
Every name you mentioned,
exactly
name we have mentioned, we have more stats on this guy than this guy. Denny didn't even play in high league EuroLeague basketball. Mm-hmm. And we only have 422 minutes of tape on Denny.
The main problem that I have,
and that's in 2 years, by the way. Let me finish here. Every one of those names showed more. Saric showed more. And Saric, obviously Luka showed way more. Killian Hayes showed way more, and I'm worried about Killian Hayes. There's almost every EuroLeague guy that's come over and been a top 5 pick has shown way more than Denny has. Denny looks good, but what worries me is the name that comes to mind when I watch him play is Evan Turner.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Evan Turner was a guy who maybe can pass, maybe can dribble, maybe can play defense. Can't shoot, we know that. But maybe he can do all the other things well enough, and he just keeps bouncing around and never gets to a point where he can be effective in anything. Mm-hmm. And where is he even at now? Where is Evan Turner at now?
Minnesota.
He's on the Wolves, technically.
But did he even play this year?
No, he didn't want to play for us.
Evan Turner's not good enough to choose where he plays.
I know, yeah.
But that being said, when we're talking about, comparing him to Luka, over my shoulder here, or comparing him to, you're comparing him to Saric. Luka and Saric were the EuroLeague rising stars. He never like has gotten anywhere near that success. Nothing even close to Namja Bjelica. Nothing close to anyone. The ones that he is close to as far as production are Nikola Jokic. That sounds great. But also Dragon Bender in the same league.
Yeah.
In fact, in the same league, Dragon Bender was better than Denny. That worries me. In the exact same league. Actually, I think the same team. I think they're both from the same team.
I think so, yeah.
So that's got to be worrying. I would be very afraid to take him. The next guy we have is Tyrese Halliburton. He's a 6'5" guard from Iowa State, although I put Iowa Stat. I forgot the E. So he's from Iowa Stat. And my comp for him is Lonzo Ball. Look, he is going to be a great fit if he can go somewhere where he does not have to be the primary ball handler, but he can still guard the primary ball handler. That would be fantastic. I've seen that the Hawks are looking at him. I think that's great. I think he fits so good with Trey. Letting Trey play off ball would be fantastic. I've also seen that the Mavs have been working him out, and so that they're trying to find a way that they can trade up to get him. I would love that too, because again, it lets him guard the primary ball handler, so Luka doesn't have to do that, and it lets him be able to play off ball, but still do that. And he also brings some passing. He's going to be a fantastic role player. He is not a star, but he is going to fit on all these teams as long as he does not have to be the star player. He will fit anywhere.
Yeah, he's good. He's good in that range. Like that's that. I would echo those sentiments. Like he's definitely not your like billable, like the face of the franchise guy, but he's a great number 2 or a number 3 in an organization that needs those pieces that support, like you said, playing off Trey would be cool. Yeah, I like him. I like guys like, his playmaking potential I think is great. It is one of those things, this is where the athleticism drop off is a little bit. But in spite of that, his ball IQ, I think, is much higher than average. So it kind of balances out in that way for me.
Here's the thing. The last kind of big, bulky looking guy out of Iowa State, opposite build, but the last guy that Iowa State had that had this playmaking potential and everyone was Royce White. And Royce White had the ability to be a number 1 pick, had the basketball ability to be the number 1 pick that year. And he only played 8 minutes in the NBA. And so now that has nothing to do with Halliburton. I think Halliburton's a great player. I really like him. I just wanted to share my sadness at wasting a first round pick on Royce White. But Halliburton, I can't think of a real good comp because he would be great as long as he's not the star.
Yeah.
I really agree. He'd be great as long as he's not the star because he can do all Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday can play a lot of good defense. Maybe can't quite be your lead guard, but he'll be able to do little bits and pieces. Will play great defense. Will do all the little things. Maybe he won't ever be an all-star like Drew was, but like Drew is now.
Well, Drew now is better than he was as the all-star. He was just in the East.
That's fair.
That being said, we're going to move on. And the number 9 we have is Obie Topping. He's a 6'9" big, so he can play forward or center. I don't know what position he is going to play, but one of the two. And he's from Dayton. My comp is like basically if Amari was a little bit worse, but also could shoot threes, so would like even out. So like maybe Amari light. The problem with him is he is only 9 months younger than my wife, and I've been married for 4 years. Like, this dude is old. He is 1 day younger than Jason Tatum. That is not someone you want to draft with a top 5 pick, or you want to draft even higher. Some people have said that he should be the number 1 pick. You don't draft someone who's 6 months older than Markelle Fultz with the number 1 pick.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't.
I mean, well, you do. You do if they're
Tim Duncan.
If they're Tim Duncan, but
he can't play defense too. That also worries me. So I don't know what you guys have on him, but that's pretty much all I have on him.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's, he's going to have a role. If Amari Stoudemire was Dennis Smith Jr., that's where, that, that
shouldn't make sense, but it really does.
Yeah, I know some of these, it's just the way my brain has been operating. Like, that's kind of how it is. And has the potential to be great, entertaining as a player. But there are some things that he definitely lacks that keep him outside the top 5 for sure for me. And the age thing is not working for him.
I will say this. He's got all the motor in the world.
If he was 19,
he reminds me of if Taj Gibson would shoot threes.
Yeah, but he can't play defense, and Gibson is a fantastic defender. It's so hard to find.
Is Gibson a fantastic defender, or does he just give a crap?
Well,
it's been both.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, and it's a little bit of none for a lot of bit of none for Toppin. But
I mean, Obie really does try, and part of defense is getting rebounds. And if you watch Dayton play, they were not getting a rebound if he didn't get it. It was bad, and he's got all the athleticism in the world. And we've seen guys recently, it just takes a fall to the right spot and then boom, they can play defense. I would really like Obie to fall to 10 or 11 because we have seen
he can play for the Spurs.
We have seen the Spurs make people play defense, and we have seen Corliss Williamson turn Ayton into an incredible defender.
Okay, so what I think we're going to do, because we're running way over on time, let's just do our lottery. So we'll only go to 14. And for the next guys, I think we'll just maybe do comps for them and won't do everything.
Yeah.
Go as deep. So I've got Devin Vassell. He's a 6'7" wing from Florida State. My comp for him is Chris Middleton. He's going to be average. I don't think he's ever going to hit that ceiling of Middleton. I don't think he's going to be the all-star of Middleton. I'm thinking like Middleton from 2 years ago. So I'll let you guys go.
No, that's good. That's a great one.
Middleton's a good one. I had Tobias Harris without a jump shot.
Oh, I think he's a good shooter though. I think that's
his new jumper. It looks bad.
That's true.
He's pulled a Markelle Fultz and has changed his jumper in the off season, and it's scary. But we'll move on. But he scares me in the same way Markelle Fultz started to scare me by changing his jumper in the middle of an off season.
All right. So next we have Tyrese Maxey, 6'3" guard from Kentucky. He's a great defender. I've got Beverly with more offense and not being a jerk. That's what I've got. I also saw someone say Kendrick Nunn, who could play defense. So
yeah,
I don't know about you guys.
I said De'Aaron Fox's defense and Kendrick Nunn's offense.
That might be even better than I think he is, but okay.
Yeah, those are, yeah.
Cole Anthony, 6'3" point from UNC. I've got Steve Francis. He reminds me of Steve Francis even more than Dennis Smith Jr. does. So obviously that means he's fated to go to the Knicks. So.
Yeah, I saw an Austin Rivers comp. I think that's all right. Who knows? Yeah.
Why do we keep mentioning athletic, disappointing guards that played for my Rockets? I just feel like we're going to trade into the lottery just to take him now. But no, his hands are bigger than Francis's by far.
So next we have Precious Sachiwa, 6'9" big from Memphis. He's like rookie Jeremy Grant, so he can't shoot threes like Grant, but he's going to play defense. He's going to be a pick and roll monster. I really like him. I hope that he falls to the Mavs. I want him or Maxey to fall to the Mavs.
I'm gonna push back on that can't shoot. He showed enough. He didn't take a high volume, but he still shot 32%.
Yeah.
At about 1 a game. So, and he was only playing 30 minutes a game at Memphis. So,
Sean.
Yeah, I think he's a good, solid role player, late lottery type potential.
I like that Grant comp
right now. Yeah, I like. I would say that James Johnson is another name that pops into my mind on it. So,
yeah, I like that Grant comp and James Johnson because I feel like a young James Johnson because he can kind of play both forward spots and give you minutes at either forward spot pretty easily.
Yeah, I also think Achua could also play a little bit 5'2". The last one we'll talk about is Aaron Nesmith, 6'6" wing from Vanderbilt. He's like Kyle Korver light. Obviously, he's much darker than Kyle Korver. I don't love him. A lot of people love him. I think he's really bad at defense. A lot of people think he's just kind of bad at defense. I do think he is worth more than a color printer like they traded Kyle Korver for on draft night. So I will say that, but I just don't. I don't love him. A lot of people love him.
Kyle Korver has quietly been one of the best high level role players of the past 20 years. So that's not a knock to say someone's Kyle Korver. And especially in this draft, the dude shot 61% from three over at home in Vanderbilt, 61% at home this year. But here's the thing. His rookie year, he shot below average. Or his freshman year. Last year he shot so well. I'm not willing to give this dude's a knockdown shooter after he wasn't that great as a freshman because everyone shoots really well at Vanderbilt. Everyone does. So I'm just a little worried with him. He could go, I think someone picks him high, but he could be a draft bust. I'm scared to say he could be a draft bust. Maybe the name that comes to mind is Doug McDermott. Doug McDermott was supposed to be a shooter and has had some trouble shooting.
Yeah, I think if you take him top 10, that's a reach for sure. I think if you get him around 20, it's a gamble, but it's a good gamble. So I don't know. You can kind of take it or leave it there.
All right. So I think just for the sake of time, we're going to wrap it up there. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to try to do our mock draft. So we're excited for that. So if you guys have someone that you like, go ahead and put it down in the comments. Or if you're on one of the podcast sites, leave a review of who you like. So please like, subscribe, and review. And we will see you next time.